Segment Shalosh, Nikud Achat, Nikud Zayin. Hamayim ha'ele metukim midavash. Hamayim ha'ele metukim midavash. When describing something, at times it's useful to know how to compare it with something else. In this segment, you'll learn how biblical writers do that. We'll be exploring two sorts of comparisons. One with a simile, where item aleph is compared to item beit by saying that it is like it. The second avenue will be with comparatives, adjectives such as larger or smaller or hotter or colder, where item A is compared to item B with a particular adjective. Hebrew can generate both of these expressions using prepositions. The prepositions employed are ke for the simile and min for the comparative. Here are some examples. The simile with ke: Nineveh ke Tarshish. Nineveh ke Tarshish. Lechem ke Aven. Lechem ke Aven. In case you're wondering about the pronunciation Aven, it is Evan when in pause, just as lechem when in pause becomes lachem. The way in which Hebrew employs the preposition ke to develop a simile is very similar to the way English uses the word like. Simply precede the second item you're comparing with ke. Here are some examples of the comparative with min. Nineveh gedolah mitarshish. Nineveh gedolah mitarshish. Tov lechem mikasef. Tov lechem mikasef. When developing a comparative using min, the adjective can come in one of two places. Either it will follow the first noun, as it follows Nineveh. Nineveh is followed by the adjective gedolah. Or the adjective may precede the first noun, as in the second example, the adjective tov precedes the first noun lechem. The preposition min will routinely follow this portion of the structure, and it immediately precedes the item which is being compared. Thus Nineveh is being compared with Tarshish. Min immediately precedes Tarshish, attaching to it, mi Tarshish. In the second example, Kesef is being compared to Lechem. Kesef is the second item. Min attaches directly to the second item, mi Kasef. At the bottom of the screen, there are three comparative statements for you to practice with. See if you can deduce their meaning. Statement Aleph. Lechem rach me even gedolah. Lechem rach me even gedolah. Beit. Tov shem mikasef. Tov shem mikasef. Gimel. Lo chazak hakiseh min hashulchan. Lo chazak hakiseh min hashulchan. The comparative with min in Hebrew governs yet another idiom that's worth being aware of. We might consider this the idiom of excessiveness. So notice the example. We find Jethro cautioning Moses, his son-in-law, against single-handedly adjudicating cases for all of Israel. He's going to be saying that the matter is too heavy for you, excessively heavy for you. That is achieved in Hebrew by using the preposition min together with an adjective. Ki chaved mimcha hadavar. Ki chaved mimcha hadavar. We have the adjective kaved, heavy, followed by the preposition min, and it is combined with a pronominal suffix, you, cha, second masculine singular. A brief comment may be in order concerning the word mimcha. It does consist of the preposition min, followed by the pronominal suffix for you, masculine singular. We might expect this to be spelled mem nun plus kaf, but the normal spelling is mem mem with a dagesh, followed by kaf. You'll learn more about these common prepositions such as min, when followed by pronominal suffixes in a later segment. So, adjective plus min is the same grammatical structure that we've seen for the comparative, but in this context, it describes something excessive. The task, Moses, is too heavy for you. You won't encounter this idiom often, but tuck it away. Just try to keep in mind that it does exist, and that will explain some translations that you'll come across when you're reading the Hebrew Bible. Finally, as you know, comparative is not the only level for drawing similarities between a couple of items. There is also a higher level, the superlative. Hebrew is well able to express the superlative. It will do that by using the same noun, no longer using a preposition. It will repeat the same noun, placing the first in construct to the second. This is easy to pick up as we look at the examples below. Eved avadim, literally, a servant of servants. Notice the repetition of eved, but the first is in construct to the second. First is singular, the second is plural. Eved avadim, a servant of servants, literally, but more smoothly, a lowliest of servants. The second example, Kodesh HaKodashim. Kodesh HaKodashim. Kodesh is a Hebrew noun meaning holiness or sacredness. So literally this means holiness of holinesses, singular of plural. Consequently, the translation many are familiar with, the Holy of Holies. This is a fairly literal translation. The concept being conveyed more smoothly could be expressed as the most holy place or the holiest space. The third example you may recognize as the title of one of the poetic books in the Hebrew Bible, Shir HaShirim. Shir HaShirim. Literally, the Song of Songs. Shir means song. And then, smoothing it out, it means the supreme song, or the best of all songs, to paraphrase it. A good way to become comfortable with the comparative and the superlative is, in the case of the comparative, take up some of the adjectives that already you've learned in this course and combine them in such a way as to say that item A is more, and then insert the adjective, than item B. Experiment with it, play with it, and soon the structure will be yours, following the models, the examples that you see here. Similarly with the superlative, take some of the nouns that you've learned and combine them. You will use the noun twice, first as singular, second as plural. The first will be in construct with the second. The second may or may not have a definite article, as you see the difference between the examples that are presented here in this segment. As you experiment creating your own, this grammatical structure will be something that you can recognize and employ in conversation.